pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you've not silenced your cell phone, please do so. Lisa, could you call the roll, please?
Sure. Darcy Pavlin. Here. Angela Brown. Jenny Sloves. Here. Tara Shields. Jasper DeChristopher.
Here.
Keith Gosha. Jerry Valentine.
Here.
Perfect. I'm not going to read the adopted policy. Everybody here has heard it before. Lisa, can you verify that the meeting was advertised?
Anything else up on the dais that shows the public advertisement?
Yes, from what I know, it was properly advertised.
I can check and come back to it. Normally, someone would put it here, but I don't have it. I'll just look it up.
Yeah, we're a little disheveled. It's okay, we're gonna make it. Meeting minutes, there was one change, Lisa, you and I went back and forth, I believe it was line 103. The syntax is a little scrambled, but it should have read that the zoning board wants to know what they're voting on. So yeah, we can make that correction.
Yeah, we can just cross out looks like 7 words in there. Yeah.
Okay, so we can proceed. If anybody would like to make a motion to approve those meeting minutes from our last meeting, September 23rd.
On the motion to approve BZC meeting minutes, September 23rd, 2025.
Thank you. I'll second.
Okay, Mr. DeChristopher.
Yes.
Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
Mr. Valentine.
Yes.
And Ms. Sloves.
Yes. So we do have before us our application for BZC 19-007, Ross Estates, application for modification of approved zoning plan filed by the Valley Seniors Development, PO Box 278, Lewis Center, Ohio 43035. Applicant is submitting request to modify the approved zoning plan for 42.76 acres, and I won't read the parcel numbers. High Road in Delaware, Ohio 43035. We do have 4 zoning numbers tonight. We just try to shoot for 5, but that is not meant to be. So,
Okay.
the applicant is all right with that?
Yes.
So I will turn it over to you guys.
And Ms. Kaplan, can I just say, the meeting was continued from the last meeting, so we didn't need to advertise. And the regular meeting was advertised in December of last year.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
it's-
Yeah, it was tabled to a time certain tonight.
Yeah, so
Thank
we
you
didn't
for
hear
that.
We've been working on this for a little while.
We are
Let
quite
me-
to 10 years. Should we wait a while?
No, we're going. Brief explanation for Mr. Valentine, since he's new to the board. So last meeting, we went through multiple discussions about conditions, and what we did is we took the approved Norris conditions and carried them forward up to Ross as the trustees approved. And so what we did after we went through multiple discussions here, we agreed to all these conditions, but rather than write them down and stay till 12:30 last time, we agreed just to continue until now so we could put them in a nice, easy book to catch up on, and we're all on the same page. So Greg is going to walk through those each, make sure that we got them all for this evening.
Thank you. Again, my name is Greg Chillock, landscape architect with the Edge Group, 330 West Spring Street, Suite 350, Columbus, Ohio 43215. So I think I'll just start with the last meeting. We introduced the project. We went over kind of the 3 major elements that we're making it up. That was the divergences that were setting the stage for what we created under a new sub-area C, where we would apply the development standards for Norris that were approved the night before by the trustees. We also got some comments back from the commission. We had some dialogue, We were able to make some commitments. Some commitments required us to go back and kind of look at the plan, make some adjustments. We had discussion. We thought it was best to table, to come back with a clean bill, a clean version. And so over the past couple weeks, Jen and I have traded emails. We were on a Zoom call and a meeting. We took all of Jen's notes, all of our notes. We compiled these together, and we think we have everything covered into a clean set of drawings and a clean text that's in front of you tonight. So maybe what I want to do now is just maybe touch on some of those highlights that we've added. The highlights in the text, anything highlighted in yellow would be something that would be addressing what we discussed at the last meeting and or highlighting those NORIS standards that we're also incorporating into the text. So it's a little bit of both. I think one of the first things we did was there was a discussion about perimeter setbacks, and that dealt with one of the divergences that's identified early in the text. And so we went through that, and I think Mr. DeChristopher talked about the setback around the Tonkin property. We have adjusted that so that we have a 25-foot setback around the Tonkin property and a 6-foot setback along the rest of the Evans Farm PRD property line. We also added in some lot diversity standards. So we included a requirement that at least 20% of the lots.
I apologize. Do we want to tell, as we're going through each page, those are on just for your guys? I think everybody knows that it'd be easier to flip to real quick for these guys. If you don't mind.
Yeah, let me.
The first one we were talking about is on page 21 of the revised.
So that'd be 21. Thank you, Dan. Under 5B and C, that's where we establish a building setback along the Tonkin property, northern boundary of the Tonkin property, and a 6-foot setback everywhere else along the southern property. We added lot diversity standards. That's on page 20 under D, lot requirements. So we now have a requirement that at least 20% of our lots that are platted following this modification shall be at least 52 feet in width. Now, ultimately, what that does, it's going to affect our lot count, and I'll go through that later when I go through the site plan. There was discussion about additional amenity elements that we would investigate in the Central Park area. We were able to do that in conjunction with removal of a lot. That's a little more of a site plan element. We added a commitment to adding fencing on the sub-area A or sub-area C lots that are adjacent to the school property. We have that added.
And just to fill in on that, the request, as we discussed, was talk to the school about, people accessing the school property. And again, the school superintendent wasn't as sensitive to that, but he appreciated the fact that we will be, and he is going to give us the language, we will be putting a fence along the back, just so there's not open area, and the landscaping will be inside on our property versus the school property. And then there'll be a gate there on the walkway, so when people start to walk towards the school, there'll be a gate there, and there'll be a sign at that point that'll say, school grounds, you're entering school grounds, whatever he's decided. So, and we will submit that with the final development plan.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
And that's right, Dan. So that's on page 22 where we make a commitment to adding the fence and details for that design we'll bring forward with the development plan. And then on the signage commitment, we have that on page 25, number 20, signage at school property, basically saying that we will provide some type of signage that designates that you're leaving the development property and entering school property. Language will be worked out with the school and presented at development plan. So we've got that included. There was a commitment for us to add some landscaping around the Tonkin property as well as within that setback. So we have that added in. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for the page numbers, but they're easy to find.
That's on 24.
Dan's prepared.
16.
Yeah, so number 16, specifically the landscaping along the Tonkin property. I think those were the major things that we talked about, discussed, and we addressed in the text. Now, Jen and I went back and forth several times, picking up all the standard comments relative to lighting. What else? What text is effective? Numerous other things, including just verifying that we have all the Norris standards included in this text. So all the architectural elements are updated, and I think the features to that I can summarize would be no vinyl siding, masonry elements required on the fronts of the homes, and commitments to the depth of the garage relative to the front facade of the home. So those are all memorialized and included in the text tonight. And then just real quick, jumping over to the site plan, there were a couple housekeeping elements that we needed to do. One was, I think we had an error on preliminary development plan, utility plan. So that's been updated along with the actual layout. So that's been coordinated with the engineer. From a site plan perspective, we now have 62 lots on the entire PRD, 61 in sub-area C. We have included, or a breakdown based on the new lot diversity requirements. We now have 46 43-foot lots, that's 75% of the project. We have 12 52-foot wide lots, that's 20% of the project. And we have 3 62-foot lots, that's 5% of the project. So it's very similar in breakdown to Norris, which is to the south relative to the lot diversity. I think the one clear thing you're going to see on the plan change would be the elimination of a lot in the Central Park area. What we did there was,
Which is above lot 54, like we said,
Yeah.
we would rather bring the play area internal, and I know you guys, and we agree,
so exactly what Dan said. What that allows us to do is a little more room for some of our program elements within that Central Park area. We're still going to develop exactly what those elements are. We think there are probably some smaller play element type pieces, maybe not a full-blown top lot, but maybe geared for some smaller children. Let me make sure I got everything here.
And we will submit those with the final development plan.
And we have made commitments in the text, all those final details on the parks, the programs, the landscaping, to further bring that in for details with the development plan. So other than that, that's a quick overview that I think caught everything. Jen, if there's anything that you think I'm missing, we can identify that, but I think we're here to answer any remaining questions and look forward to your response.
Anybody want to dive in?
I took a look through the books. You covered everything I think that I could see that we talked about at the last meeting. I definitely appreciate the changes around the Tonka property to kind of level that up. But we talked before, the property may be in flux, so didn't want to really encroach upon it when it may be change of ownership that could get dicey for property values and what that person might be buying into. I appreciate the changes to remove a couple of lots, especially around where you've got retention pond to add some amenities in that area that we talked about, as well as right there at the entrance, kind of along the Tonkin. I think it looks like you took at least one lot out of there to make some space as well. you covered the school fencing. Obviously, the tot lot, that'll be decided when you do your final, but your commitment to it is outlined in the property. So I don't really have any issues with it. I like the fact that the book is up to date and it's got everything that we were asking for. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Jerry, you got anything?
Yeah, I have a couple of things that I wrote down in the last bit. The lots, it's not part of Evans Farms, and I understand that, but it's adjoining to Evans Farms. Have you taken that into consideration with the lots that are adjoining those?
Yes.
So the sizing and everything, it'll fit right in, because I know it's not Evans Farms, but it is.
No, but look, for us, it was important to bring this into compliance with the architectural requirements that we did to the south. And so, look, we look at it as Evans Farm. It just was never brought in under the original zoning, and then we did the school, so you're correct.
From a standards perspective, it's the same. Visually, it's gonna look the same. From a legal perspective, it's two different PRDs.
Different signage on the entrances and all that to distinguish.
Oh,
I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. With it being integrated, well, let me ask you, what's your opinion? I really like the idea of cohesiveness, as we all talked about, including adding all the garage door stuff that we got to brought it up to standards. I don't know if we've really talked about that internally, whether it would be a new sign that would say Ross Estates versus what we've done throughout, which is the pillar that says EF on it, Evans Farm. So
The pillars signage style is the same.
Okay.
There's no difference there. That's all.
Well, there's gonna be
contemplated.
5 or 6 right there at Pikes and
yeah,
the surrounding areas, and I just wondered if.
right. No, I think we would. It's a good question, but I think I would say that we're going to use Evans Farm logos and signage on it because it's so integral to the walkability and everything for somebody to go, well, I'm walking down the street, and what am I entering? A new place? Is this Evans Farm, isn't it? And, yeah, good point.
And then back in 19, when this thing was created, there was an original plan.
Mhm.
That wasn't 66, I think that was like
71.
71.
Yeah, we figured that out last meeting.
Okay.
71. We went through
Everybody
that.
agreed, okay.
Okay. And it's not 66. What happened was, after the commission went through all this, we realized that we needed to take a lot out for the Tonga Park, but we wanted to take a lot out for the things, and we wanted to keep lots a little pulled away from the railroad tracks, so that's how we got to 61.
So, Jen, I'm gonna ask you, on the application itself, the modification approved zoning plan, it says 66, should that say 62 across it? Does it matter?
Legally, I don't think they need to do anything different. You're saying the actual
The
application.
original application.
Because what the commission can do this evening is basically incorporate the most recent set of materials that will control over anything that existed prior.
And Mr. Valentine, we have identified in the regulating text itself, just to give you some comfort.
62.
62.
I
Yeah.
saw that was little, but I saw it for 66.
So it's 62 for the entire PRD,
61.
and essentially
additional
61 for
because you got a
Southern
house there. And the only other thing, between the school and the properties, I know you said you're putting a picket fence of some sort, but can there be a 3-foot mound as a distinction between the two properties? Just so they know entry-wise it's a difference, and 3 foot isn't that much.
A 3-foot mound is a 40-foot wide effort. I don't want
With a slope on the 41, but we'd be glad to look at it with the engineer on the dirt movie.
Yeah.
And then we could put the fence on top of the mountain to raise it up a little.
I think that's a detail we can bring a development plan on exactly what that is going to be, given that we'll know elevations and where utilities are going.
With drainage and everything
Yeah,
else, I don't want to.
That's always a concern of mine.
I just know the difference. You walk flatted, you can't tell, you know,
Right.
that's private property versus.
It's gonna be a fence, you're gonna tell.
Okay. That's all I have.
No, appreciate it.
And I think to touch on that, because if you're looking at that, the property line is right here, it would go on, there's no common area right at the end.
Right.
If
Right,
you're
it's
putting
on the
it
lot.
right. So I think that's the problem with that, right?
Well, we'll look at it. If we can raise up a little amount, I always enjoy. Yeah. Now he's enjoying spending more money and doing it.
And from my perspective, it's hard to commit to size and width on those until we know the engineering.
Yeah.
But we can certainly commit to
And
the
drainage.
Yeah.
concept, yeah.
You don't want to create
But
a
we'll look
drainage
at it.
problem for yourselves or the school.
The rear of lots is where we put drainage, electric easements, storm easements, all that. So it gives me just a little bit of anxiety when we start putting stuff back in those areas.
Yeah. Okay. I don't really have anything, I mean, you did incorporate everything. I still am not in love with, because it is a separate clarity, you know, just giving all of the same, adopting everything that Norris has as far as, you know, the divergences you're asking for, because I think it does open us up to a lot of criticism from other developers or a lot of asks. When there's adjacent, you know, developments going up saying, you know, well, you're giving this developer this, it really just opens the door. But it is a unique situation where this is really, I understand what you're saying as far as it being seen as Evans Farm, and there was a donation to the school, which I think was definitely needed in this situation, so. But yeah, I don't really see anything else I have questions about or any other concerns, so.
Jen, is there anything in statute-wise that sets precedent from one zoning to another?
No, so my advice to, or my spiel on precedent setting is, generally speaking, if I had to boil it down, it's like that every development has to speak for itself, rises or falls on its own merits. If there were to make a truly, in my opinion, valid precedent argument, someone would really have to show identicalness. And if folks are like me, they can almost always find something that's different, a scenario that's different. The factors, or the school, or the location, or the configuration, or utilities, or, you know, all those elements that
Or
are
the
all
standards.
a little bit different. To Ms. Lowe's point, that's not going to stop someone from making that argument in front of this board or the board of trustees or anyone. And ultimately, it usually has to be a court that answers that question. But I think, in my opinion, things have to be dang near identical for that to really be a true precedent. And in zoning land, they almost never are identical. For what that's worth. That's a lot of legalese thrown at you, but fair points all around. Like I said, that's not going to stop people from making the argument. But it ultimately has to come down to, you know, the development itself, and holding them up against each other is sort of a hard thing to do.
It is different, obviously, Evans Farm in this area, in this development. It's, we handled it back in 2016 when all the Orange and Berlin was looking at this and going, okay, well, you know, if we do this lot sizes and everything for you, we're gonna get, and the precedence was, well, if somebody else brings 1,000+ acres and wants to do a master plan community of this magnitude, then you've set precedent. Other than that, nobody can say precedent. So I'm just answering your question of how we've sort of looked at this throughout. And I get why you sometimes think that, but I don't think they can do it legally here. But
Well, I can count on two hands the number of developers that have come in front of us and said, well, you let Evans Farms do that.
oh yeah,
So,
you said
they don't let us flog them.
right? No,
I mean, yeah. So they do ask, and you know, lawyers do get involved, and that troubles me, because you're right, it does rise and fall on its own merits. However, people who go consult their lawyers say, well, you know, they let these people do it, and they're not letting us do it. So yeah, it does make us a little, I feel a little vulnerable, but neither here nor there. We hope. Well, I want to commend you guys for working with our council, and thank you for the new vinyl. Thank you, because that was the original agreement, and I think we all feel better about
And
that.
thank you for the input. We think it's a better development from this commission's input last time.
Everything's in one book. I can't tell you how much that's great, because we've all been in the position of, not just you guys, who's
Right.
been around for a long, but there are others, and we have no idea what the intent was, and there are different conditions written in different places, and our filing system is a little lacking, and so this is great. So
We're glad-
I think
glad
this
to
is
do
a
it.
standard that we would like to have everybody rise to, so thank you for that.
I appreciate it too, because when we're putting this together, I think one of the goals of these booklets for us is to help you administer what's in them. So I think it's a good idea.
Good all around, so thank you for that. I know you said tot lot details to be determined with the final development plan. So do you have any idea as far as staging, when amenities or things are gonna?
There'll be playing equipment for the kids and yeah, I mean, it'll be very, very nice. We just don't have a design. But it'll be like we talked about, move it to get it away from the road. Let's get it internal.
Yeah, it was away from the road, away from the pond edge,
Right.
Yeah.
outside of the loop walk.
Right.
You know, so I think the programming in that park is going to
No,
be.
the space is a good place.
Yeah.
It's a good place. Okay. That's all I have. All right, so our applicant, is, I'm assuming nothing.
Madam Chair, can I ask two brief questions?
Oh, you know what? Yes,
Oh,
please.
thank you.
I'm so sorry. Used to looking at
No,
the audience
that's
and
okay.
not, yeah.
Two very quick things. Greg, I think I saw on page 20 of the text, it's the highlighted paragraph at the bottom, so D through B. Like 6 words in, it says plot. Make sure you read it.
I think that's supposed to be
I
lots.
thought so too. And I think that's plots instead of lots. I think that's, I mean, I don't know if we need to do anything fancy here. Cross out
We can
the
pick
P.
that up going forward.
I have no question, no concern with that, doing it that way. Just wanted to be clear, because all the other terminology in that section is lots. And then the other one, and I apologize if this is redundant, Madam Chair, I heard you ask the applicants, or acknowledge that there are only 4 members here tonight. I believe the commission's rules are that in order to receive a recommendation of approval, they would have to receive at least 3 votes. I'm seeing head nods, that's a good thing. And then again, forgive me if I just missed this. Does the applicant want to move forward with the 4-member board, recognizing that you would need 3 votes to receive a recommendation of approval?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
We like
Thank you for clarifying that.
My pleasure.
Do you have anything?
I sure do. Oh, me?
Anybody?
In regards to this application,
Yeah.
no, but
Okay.
it's great banter, appreciate the great comments and the developer working together hand in hand, it's nice to see.
It feels much nicer than some of our applications and meetings, I would say that.
We're gonna continue to do that, you know that.
Do you want to say that I can read it if you want?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the motion.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, one more item. Do we also want to note for the record that there were no other members in the audience to speak either on behalf of or against?
That would be good to put on the record, sure. No one to ask questions. Okay, so you want to proceed, I'm assuming, with a vote tonight,
Thank
thank you, okay.
I can make a motion, move to recommend approval of the modification of case number BZC 19007 with the various changes reflected in the modified PRD text, map, exhibits, and other materials dated October 3rd, 2025.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. DeChristopher,
Yes.
Mr. Valentine,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yeah.
Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Thank you very
Great.
much.
Appreciate it.
It's been a long road, thank
We
you.
gotta get, now we gotta get to work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Chair, do you, I know that your practice is from time to time to have folks sign off on the motion. Is that for every zoning only, or do you want them to?
Really, the only time we've done that is if we have conditions that we have to, make part of the record or some exhibit, so, no. You think that would be a better idea?
No, not necessary.
Okay. So, we have Jared back, and, who knew? That being said, Jen had to let us into the building tonight, 'cause
Yeah, whoever.
we don't know how this is gonna be working. They moved the seats.
I think the big thing there is whoever has key access, they hit it twice and it unlocks the door.
Okay,
And at the end of the night, you hit it twice to lock it.
okay.
But I don't know what they did with my ID, my laptop, all that stuff.
Yeah, we don't have access at this point, so I'll touch base with Cindy and find out. Moving forward, thank you. I always try to come like half an hour early, just to, settle in, get my little papers out, and, so, yeah, Jen had to let us in, so we'll figure that out.
I can check with Jesse tomorrow to see who's changed.
Yeah, we just need that. So anyway, our commission board is full as of right now. Do they give you any indication when you go to Florida for the winter? Is that?
No.
Okay.
My intent was Ray's gonna come. Once
He's
he
got
could
that
get
card
out of
out.
his brace, that he would take his position back.
Well,
is
we'll
what
see.
I was
Okay.
thinking, but.
Lots to be determined, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I did talk to Cindy today and asked if there was anything on the agenda for the 28th. As of right now, there is not. So, she did say there was one, she wasn't sure if she had paperwork or not. She's still kind of finding her footing all by herself out there. So, as of right now, I don't believe that we have anything before us on the 28th. On the other hand, we could, assuming there is nothing, not have a meeting, or we could dedicate it to working on our comprehensive plan. I know you talked about maybe a subcommittee, or the resolution, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. The first, and Kelsey, I'll ask you that there was a hearing when I left, there was at 7 Lake, right beside the temple, that came in boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that been dealt with yet?
No, but I can say that, we did get a new application for a text amendment that did come in this last week. I sent that to the Regional Planning Commission. It's, rezoning for a lot south on 3BZK, near Owl Creek. So, we are working through that. But the seven lots is something that we are still working through.
Okay. They submitted a bunch of books, and it's over there right before I left. And I think it's the final plan for it that would go to the zoning commission, but I didn't know where that stood.
No, we're still working through that.
Okay.
So.
And then the other part that you asked about, the trustees would like to have the resolution and the comp plan redone for 26. And I always thought you did one and then you did the other to match it. Now they're saying they'd like to make sure that they're cohesive to start with. So making sure that both the comprehensive land use plan and the resolution match. The last I did at the other meeting was everybody on the commission, I believe, has the electronic copy of what Levi was working on with mainly Delaware Regional Planning, because they're the ones that have the master copy of it. That was a project that if you wanted to get the group together and just put all the comments together and have a final draft of it.
What do you guys think? We wanna spend our next meeting working on the resolution and going through the red line,
Copy.
having internal dialogue. I'd like to go trick or treating.
You like what?
Said, I wanna go trick or treating.
Oh, is that the 28th?
No.
I don't know, I'm not, my son's having surgery next week, so I'm not sure about him being able to be here.
Everything's okay?
He's 8, his retina detached suddenly,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I'm kind of worried for his,
Right.
the recovery is like really kind of, he has to stay head down for a
Yeah,
whole week,
it's tough.
yeah. So I'm worried about,
An 8-year-old doing that is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a shame.
so I don't know about that.
So you're a maybe, and of course, we're hoping, Tara's gonna work with us to
The
get our
landscaping stuff.
landscaping. I mean, there's a piece of me that thinks if we don't just like buckle down and get on this, we'll never get there. I guess I would lean towards if people are willing to have the meeting on the 28th, and we just sort of do, I know it's still a meeting, but like a roundtable, go through the red lines and the suggestions and try to put some language together.
And what I can do is I can add from my previous history, I had a page of things that we wanted to address. Not all of them would we, but one thing came up just recently, which was kind of unique in that on Curve Road, there's a barn that sits right on the property line. And then they put a fence out that's 7 feet in front of that, in front of their house. And Jesse had to do an REA, which is a request for engineering assistance. Found out that that is in the right of way, but we have nothing in our code at all for fencing, because we don't control fencing. But we should probably, if you're building anything, we want to at least see a plot plan. That's something that's not anywhere. I put it in the general, but I'll add that to the list. I say at least we know what's going on in the township, so if something like that came up again, then we would have at least known that there was stuff being built on not your property, if you know what I mean. We've got a lot of that going on in the Army Corps property over off of African Road, where a guy has a whole soccer field, but it's all Army Corps property. You can see it from the Delaware County auditor's site, but nobody ever checked it because it wasn't any building. It wasn't anything that we regulated. So if you're doing anything on your property, we want to know from the plot plan. Is one suggestion that just came up the week before I left with Jesse and ran into. If there's anything else like that, covering ourselves in that book is what. Now that was over on that side, it changes a lot from just reading through these. I mean, this is important, but then enforcing that stuff and knowing how you can do that is the hardest part. It has been the last part that I was doing. So, other than that, like I said, I'll put together that list and make sure everybody has it beforehand.
So you already have a running list of things that they want us to work on?
Yeah, I put a list together when Levi was still here. It's in the zoning inspector book. I'll get it, but I'll add to it because I left everything in place for Kelsey and we took over that part of it. Yeah, I had a list of like 18 or 19. Now, we've covered most of them. In fact, the landscaping is a big
Yeah, I think we're kind of close. I mean, that's the other part here. I kind of hate to let too much space.
Yeah, and Levi redlined a lot of things, but I wasn't an expert on how they did the texting of it, because Word and how you write special notes out here and all that. I was trying to get back in when I did handwritten little cards and did that. So, right. So, yes, we had a list of things that were had to be done and then would like to have added in, and then figure out what's going to get approved. I don't think I can get back to that.
Well, I mean, what do you guys think? I lean towards having a meeting. I think
And
we can get a
discussion.
lot, yeah. Like I said, do kind of a round table and I realize you may not.
Maybe I could sit into it or
Maybe Jasper, are you gonna be around?
Well, I was gonna say, or even if you had comments, you could always send them in.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good idea just from a standpoint of, even if there's only three, if there's no case, we don't necessarily need the forum. So if it's three of us, it's three of us, and, because I know, I mean, Jerry, you sent the email, but with all the cases and everything else, I'm like, well, I'll get to it after the case.
It's so
Never get to
long.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's daunting.
So if we hold a meeting and that's the focus of the meeting, then I'll look at the.
Yeah.
I like electronic for control.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I learned in a long time. Because finding it in text is hard. That will be slow.
Okay, so we will meet on the 28th and we'll send out word and we'll do our best to work on our red line as a roundtable and see if we can get Tara's input too.
Madam Chair, I think you will, Kelsey and I were talking, I think, so my understanding is that, I'm sorry, I'm taking us a little bit backwards. I
Do it.
have to get my feet under me. The application that has been received for rezoning was received on or around October 2nd or 3rd.
Okay,
As you all know, you have like 20, the window, right, 20 to 40 days to set it for to hold a public hearing, to open a public hearing.
right,
My understanding is that Kelsey and her team have sent it on to regional planning so they can start those wheels running. That's perfect, that's great. But what I think we're gonna need to do is we can't wait to get under the law, we can't
Oh,
wait to
yeah.
get that
No,
back.
I agree.
All of our lives would be easier if we could wait until we could get that back before we set the hearing. But I think you're gonna need to set the hearing, because we're gonna be at 40 days, what do we say? 40 days on Veterans Day. So really you only, and I'm gonna ask a number of questions here. Basically, our only meeting between today and Veterans Day is that 28th.
okay.
I don't know, you could hold it on Veterans Day if you were planning to have a meeting on a federal holiday.
Right.
And I don't know what the commission's process usually is. Do you bump your dates? Do you skip it altogether when it's a federal holiday?
My recollection is that we still had our meeting, but maybe I'm hallucinating.
I'll look at this calendar.
Do we have a scheduled meeting that day?
I mean, it's, when we do our organizational meeting at the end of the year, yeah, it's on our meeting calendar.
It says closed on that, but I don't know who wrote that.
Oh, it says closed on there?
Yeah. I don't know who wrote it.
It
It says closed. Jasper, did you just write that? No, just kidding. No, I don't really care. I mean, to me, I think I work on Veterans Day.
Oh, I know, I do.
I mean, like, I don't think, Veterans Day is one of those weird holidays where I think most things are just open.
Yeah.
Banks and post office usually get the day off.
Right, and like our kids are in school. I don't mind having a meeting, but
Okay. I think we should calendar a meeting, and it may well be that whatever came in gets scheduled on the 28th. Like I said, Cindy didn't know, so.
Okay. Remind me, is it your process to usually like formally receive these
Yeah.
and set them and set them as the commission for a public hearing, where you say, hey, we're having a meeting, and the next thing, if something comes in, it gets put on the desk. Okay, so we will put that on you all are planning to have a meeting on the 28th. It sounds like maybe there is the inclination that we'd maybe rather have it on the 28th than the 11th, because the 11th is sort of TBD.
Right, I don't know what the rules are on that,
Okay.
honestly. So, yeah, if we need to have a hearing, we'll have a hearing. So what you're saying is the materials have already been received?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Cindy wasn't sure,
so
so.
the only thing that's outstanding though is the comments from the regional.
Correct.
Regional planning.
So how this could happen is you set it, all hypothetical, you could set it for a hearing on October 28th. You could have as much, you've done some of this before, you can have as much of the hearing that night as you want to have. If lots of folks are here, lots of folks want to provide comment, great, you're here, give us your comments. If no one's here, you legally could open the hearing and continue it. To check the box, to say,
Sure.
legally sufficient, and say we opened the hearing in that 20 to 40 day window. Or you could have a full hearing, but for receiving RPC's recommendations, continue it however long we think it's going to take RPC to get their comments to us, and then finish it up whatever day comes out to that.
Can we do that without the permission of the applicant, though? My understanding was if they said, no, we want to have our hearing, we have to have a hearing.
Set it on the 28th or the versus.
Well,
the
no, I
11th.
mean, if we opened it on the 28th, we couldn't just reflexively close it.
You can, legally can, you're the decision maker, you're the board. Most people don't, right? Like,
Right.
something like that, is that the hill I would die on? No, but they would need to understand, anyone would need to understand in that moment, there will not be a decision that night regardless,
Right.
because we've not received RPC's
And
recommendation.
yeah, that's
And
more
the
than
law says we
reasonable.
have to have that before we can move it on.
Okay. Because I wouldn't really even want to hear their comments or their presentation until we've heard what
Right.
RPC has to say.
And don't we also need 2 weeks? I got bit by this to,
Publish.
yeah, let the public know, we have to advertise it somewhere 2 weeks ahead of time
10 days.
for public
It's
hearing.
10 days.
And today's the 14th, right? So that's,
Good points. But now we're only putting it on the website and mailing it out as needed, correct? Under
well,
51912.
and letting the neighbor,
Yeah, mailing it out to the people we have to mail to. But it is the 10-day notice, so I think the question is, could we have it in the mail by?
Friday.
That's right.
When did they jump on? When did they get their recommendation?
We don't know if it's on for their mail.
Yeah, I need to follow up because there were some access issues for a moment for RPC, but I did get notified yesterday that they were able to access those documents as of Monday. So
Yeah, regional planning is usually is it the fourth Thursday of the month?
I have to get
Yes.
brushed up on
It's
RPC
like
and
23rd.
I don't know.
I think it is the fourth,
I'm pretty
possibly
sure.
fourth, so then we could get it possibly in time by the 28th, I think.
You think they're the fourth, Thursday?
Fourth, yeah.
Yeah, it's the last,
23rd. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of Thursdays. And
They don't turn around their meeting
yeah,
minutes
usually
that
they
come
do
out
this
today.
next
Okay.
day.
Yeah, they're pretty quick, yeah, so you might actually have them by the day.
Well, and we can, as to setting expectations with applicants, we can always provide that commentary, right? We've not, staff can provide that commentary in advance. We've not received RPC, or we have, but if we haven't, we don't anticipate a lot of conversation, we need to open this, but then the only variable is the public, right? We're not gonna tell the public,
Right.
not my advice to tell the public, like, probably we won't have a hearing, you know,
Yeah.
because that sets expectations not in a positive way, so.
Right.
But as with the applicant, we can have all of those conversations, and that wouldn't be weird, but every single township struggles with that. Your schedule never lines up with planning commission, ever,
Right.
no one's ever
Right.
lines up. So.
and Jen, you're not question but comment. The trustees do set for a hearing, but in my experience on the zoning commission, we never did that in advance, like plan for it.
Got it.
That way, we never had a motion or anything like
I
that.
appreciate that. Yeah, some of mine is different townships do it different ways, and this is me like, oh, I don't remember. I don't remember. So that's totally fine. So we will, working within the timeframes that we have, and we can on our end check and see if that 11th is gonna happen or not happen, and Madam Chair will reach out to you if that's a question.
Yeah.
But other than that, we'll proceed as if it's going to be the 28th. We'll make sure you all have materials, make sure you're aware in advance of what's gonna happen or not happen. And sorry for that sort of being a little bit
Yeah.
fluid at the moment. But I wanted to make sure we capture
So like
that.
we should get them, like we should have the materials today, technically, I mean, like this is where I feel like we're not getting materials until like,
Right.
we're getting messages literally like 2 days before, like, hey, you might wanna stop in and get your materials. That's where it's
So-
getting kind of frustrating on my, like, I feel like a little bit
Totally
frustrated.
hear that. Bear with, I appreciate your patience with that. We're going to check on this tomorrow.
Okay.
So it won't be another week. We'll check on it tomorrow. If it's gonna be that the hearing should happen on the 28th, we'll let you know tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm not sure, did they pick up materials here, did they get it sent to them, how does that work? We'll facilitate
We usually
it.
have to come in and get it, but I mean, that's why the 2 weeks is nice, because we could get it, we would normally get the stuff passed out. Yep. At a meeting.
And it is the last Thursday of the month, so it's the 30th.
Okay.
I know, 5 Thursdays, normally the 4th.
Well, to give us a fighting chance, if there is a way to, if the township thinks that the commission is holding a meeting on Veterans Day, we'll plan for that day. If you're not, if they would bump it and it'd be too late, we'll reach out. Or
I mean,
we'll shift it to the 28th.
Yeah, well, we could, and the other option, which is, got problems, is do a special meeting on like the 12th.
You could do that as well.
Just saying, I know that gets complicated. with
Parks
people's
and
schedules.
Trails has something
Yeah,
here.
no, you can't go longer than the.
Parks and Trails has something here.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that won't work.
You could do the 10th unless the trustees are here.
Well, the
Trustees
trustees.
are gonna be here.
The 13th is something, isn't it?
Yeah, the trustees will be here.
And the 4th is election. Yes, doing great. We're having it on all sides.
Yep,
So
okay.
yeah, I think we're just gonna have to do motions.
We'll have a meeting on the 28th, we'll just see what happens. Okay, any other business from our commission members or anybody? No? Do you have any news or updates? Probably don't, about filling the position for zoning.
Inspector and zoning director, they have two of them.
Yeah, I know, all these new titles, I'm a little like,
And then they also had, I'm not really sure that the fiscal officer, right now they're using a Lisa Craft. And I don't know whether that's a assigned temporary position or whether that's for the term, because there's 2 years left on what Jeff Jordan was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, did they appoint her for the fiscal officer or?
At last night's meeting, she was there, so.
They were gonna, because they had the fiscal officer resigned, so they had 30 days to.
I was not there. I was at the board's meeting. I was not present for that portion. The person who I think we're talking about had a name badge, nameplate that said deputy fiscal officer. Are they going to appoint someone as the fiscal?
Was-
Well,
so
that's
I guess
Paula,
I can't
that's
shed any.
Paula. Paula is the deputy or the
Oh, Paula's
assistant.
right.
Paula was here last night, but then there was another appointment made, and it was Lisa. I know that much, but
Well, they have to make it within 30 days, and I think her Jeff Jordan's last day was the 30th of September. So they have
yeah,
30
September
days.
1 was.
They might have appointed her, and then she might do it for now, because she was at Orange before, so she knows what she's doing, and then maybe appoint, have her resign. Or maybe yeah, I think that's probably what it was.
A lot of times, the trustees will give us, the commission, a highlight of what happened at the meeting. That didn't happen, I don't remember. Of course, I don't have an.
We'll have to watch the video.
No.
5 hours.
also to be determined.
Thank you, it's okay. But that's all I know, or don't know.
Right, yeah, we can all speculate, but I know nothing. Okay, well, I think we should adjourn if you guys, less than an hour with an application approval under our belt. Is that how we
You
have it?
good?
No.
We
Okay,
need a
Sherry's
motion?
back.
Well, we have the 4 hour meeting.
Motion
to make up for
adjourned.
it.
I'll second that motion. Okay.
And straight.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So Lisa, I'm not sure the mechanism to make this change.
Oh, yeah, we can just cross it out. You can. Yeah, as long as everyone agrees, we can make, we can also do alternates.
I can make it too.
Yeah, as long as that, yeah, you can, and that way if it's a small change and it didn't get.
It is, it's just the way the
Okay.
sentence.
I'm 2/3 right.